Okay, hello. I'm recording this video to share with parents some changes in the oral English examination format in schools for the primary school students. Typically the upper primary, that means the primary 3, 4, 5, 6, which is the equivalent of grade 3 to grade 6 age level. Okay.
So, Miss Megan, what is the new oral English exam format like?
Okay, so I'm just going to be talking about the section where there is the biggest change. Previously, there was a picture for the child to look at the picture and describe what he or she sees in the picture. Now, what they have is what they call a graphic stimulus. Okay, so I better explain the term because it sounds like something graphic, which is not. It just refers to something that's visual. So it may be something like a poster. It could be something like a flyer about an exhibition. It could be an advertisement. So essentially something with pictures, something where there's visual information, words for the child to read, and then the examiner will ask questions and have a conversation with the child. Like, what do you think? If the poster is about pets, maybe asking the child about the child's pets and so forth.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So, what are the most important tips for the children to remember in this case?
Okay, I think one of the number one things for the child to remember is to listen to the examiner. Okay, I would explain to the child, for example, if you wanted a transformer toy, it doesn't matter if there's another toy like a Barbie doll that's very nice, very fancy, very expensive, you don't want it. So in a similar way, the child has to learn to listen to the examiner's question. It doesn't matter how big your vocabulary is, how long your sentences are, how articulate it can be. If you give an answer that does not correspond to the question, the examiner doesn't want to know. Okay, so very important. That's number one. The child should remember to listen to the question and respond. Number two, one useful tip for the child to remember is to try to use words from the question. So if the examiner is asking about advantages, what are the disadvantages and advantages, you may want to use the same words. So that will help the child to remember to answer according to the question. Okay, and the third tip is for the child to remember to use complete sentences. Sometimes some children are the type where they only give one word answers, yes, no. Okay, then they have to learn to use more longer, interesting sentences to convey their ideas. Some children are the opposite. They are the type that when they hear something, they go on and they start have what we call rambling sentences. And one sentence leads to another, and there is no full stop. And then it's easy for them to get carried away, and then very soon they are talking about something else that is not really related to the question. Okay, so those are the three main tips. One, to listen to the question. Number two, to try to use words from the question so it helps you to stay on the topic. And number three, to remember to use complete grammatical sentences.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for the three tips. How can parents help the child to prepare for oral exam in this case?
Okay, it's good that now the parents are more aware of what is the format. It's good for them to obviously start by modeling, showing the child how to talk about things like that. So if you see flyers outside, if you see notices on the notice board, downstairs where you live, it's good to show the child, how you can make comments about it. Essentially, the exam format is about how the child is able to read something, show that they understand the information and are able to express an opinion about it. So that's what the parents can model. So they can talk about, is this a good idea? And they can also show the child a range of ideas, not just how one person thinks. So the parent may like to model, okay, I think this is a good idea, and maybe some other people may not think it's a good idea, to give the child an example of the range of words and opinions that they may like to express. Secondly, parents may like to just think about some of the words that we frequently use in questions. Things like, for example, benefits, advantages, disadvantages. If the child does not even understand the meaning of these words, it's going to be hard for them to actually respond to questions like that. They can also think about showing the child a range of words. So for example, if the question is something like how often do you have a family activity, or how often blah blah blah. So you need certain words in order to be able to answer questions like that. The child needs to be able to use words like very often, maybe every day, or maybe something not very often, or once in a while, or maybe words like sometimes, occasionally. So there are certain words that go with certain kind of questions. The more you take the opportunity to discuss this kind of situations as they come up, the more often the child gets to hear them. And to do it in a kind of a casual, in a positive way, rather than making it like a drill or making it like an interrogation and just bombarding the child with questions. So those are simple things that we can do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.